I'm Craig Lewin, founder of Beyond the Breakers, and you are here watching Going Long, where we talk to our past and present Beyond the Breakers speakers that you will see on the stage in November. So let's get it going. When you think about who is given the most open water swimming, not just as an athlete, but as a coach, an observer, a crew member, race director, and a community builder, not many names come up as consistently as Dan Simonelli, also known as Dan Swiminelli. He started with a simple idea: help people who are afraid of the ocean actually get into it. That was 2012 at La Jolla Cove. What it became is the Open Water Swim Academy, one of the most respected coaching operations in the sport, with swimmers coming to Dan from around the world for everything from their first ocean swim to channel crossings. He's completed SCAR, the Catalina Channel, English Channel, and swims in the Santa Barbara Channel Islands. He was also inducted into the International Marathon Swimming Hall of Fame as an honor coach in 2024, and he's still showing up for swimmers from the boat, from the kayak, and from the coaching session every day. All right, so here we go. Dan, thanks for joining us. All right, Dan, cool. Thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate you being here.
Thanks. Glad to be here. This is fun.
Yeah, so let's jump into the first question I've been asking all everyone I've talked to. Give us, for the people who don't know you out there, which I would find shocking if you're an open water swimmer and you don't know Dan, give us the 30-second elevator pitch.
I think first and foremost, open water swimmer. I like to make sure that that gets in the mix because I've, obviously become more of a sport person and kayaker due to my own story. But yeah, I mean, we all came here driven by the open water and wanting to, get in the open water one way or the other. So open water swimmer, coach, kayaker, father of two daughters who are now in their 20s, but they both grew up swimming and they both did Catalina Channel relays with their swim team friends, when they were 14 years old. So yeah, that's my elevator.
Amazing. So yeah, obviously swimming runs deep in the family, especially I guess where you live.
Right.
With that, you also own, operate, run the Open Water Swim Academy. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about that? Like, what's a typical week look like for you in that capacity?
Yeah, I think, I really try to stay busy. It's getting um, harder to keep everything straight and busy, but uh, I I typically like to get up in the morning and go swim at the cove. That always starts my day out well. Come back, get it. I always have some calls to make, some coaching calls, and getting on with other business that's always needing to be done. And certainly the most recent is taking care of business with the starting San Diego Open Water Swimming Association and trying to get that done and up and running with our board members, Summer Wesson, Jeff Rake, and Carrie Ann Sheevel. So yeah, that definitely keeps me busy. I'm never a shortage. I have to kind of shut things off in the evening to not be going 24/7. So
That's
always
amazing that you
something
get
to do.
to bring that organization to San Diego. I've been there a few times and I really enjoy it. I enjoy it so much that I'm coming next week to go
Yeah,
swim around San Diego or swim around Coronado Island.
yeah,
Uh,
it's
so
absolutely.
uh, I'm excited for it. I've seen ACS really take off in the past few years, as you know, you and how are we saying it? We're saying SADAWSA, San Diego Motor Swimming
Yeah,
Association.
we're not sure yet. Depends on what people say.
All
Yeah,
right.
people like
So
it.
yeah, no, it's really impressive to see the growth of it, the popularity. So I'm excited to get the opportunity to experience it myself. So it sounds like, the work you're doing is awesome, and I don't know, you get to make a living doing open water. So it sounds almost like living the dream.
Yeah, it really. I mean, I've tried to mix things up and not get kind of stuck on focusing on one thing. For instance, when I started out, of observing Catalina swims, I wanted to mix it up, and that's how I started kayaking. I didn't want to do the same thing. So kind of I've continued on that path of just I like doing a little bit of different things and keeping things fresh and keeping my interest high.
So, for those who don't know, you have a pretty cool background. You served in the Marines, you were ocean lifeguard, started a family, came back to swimming, competitive swimming in 2009 when your daughter started junior lifeguards. So, definitely, kind of around the water, always a piece of it. Why don't you walk us through that? And how do you go from, I guess, being in the military branches to an international marathon swimming honor, coach?
Yeah. It really feels pretty the arc, as you said, feels pretty natural, albeit with the you know time in the middle of raising kids and having another job. But I started out with swimming myself, and in the Marine Corps I became, because I could swim, and I started doing triathlon while I was in. They trained me to be a WSSI instructor, water safety and survival instructor. And then I was lifeguarding after. And so I was there, it was already always there. And that was my plan. I was doing lifeguarding and instructing at the Y for lifeguarding course and whatnot. And and then, life happens, and finished school, went back to school and finished San Diego State, and then kids and whatnot. So but it really was the um, my daughters starting junior lifeguards, and I was overweight, and just going about my business, not just trying to do life. And I ran a little bit on the beach, like literally, a few hundred yards, swam out to the little, lifeguard buoy a few hundred yards out, and over that month, it was just got really the feel back. And the impetus was, maybe to our point today, is there was something that a carrot was dangled in front of me, and that carrot initially was the La Jolla Cove 10-mile relay. And a friend uh, said, "Hey, you want to join our team?" I'm like, "Oh my God, I don't know if I can swim 2 miles." And so that was a big kind of jump, with thinking, if I could do that. And, kind of the rest is history. But that was really the impetus, the culmination of few circumstances that, led me down that road. So,
Amazing. And then you went from there, obviously started Open Water Swim Academy. You're coaching channel swimmers. A lot of people don't know there. Dan was my coach through the triple crown. He kept me in check. I don't think I was the easiest at times, but we'll get into that later. So as part of, OWSA, how did you know, like, oh, I want to do this. I want to build this. And what was the impetus for that? And like what was actually building it from the idea to what it is now?
yeah, it had been percolating for those couple years. Um, and as I was kind of around the cove, I got in with uh, intrepid swim group that who were training for channel swims, or had already done them. And so I got sucked into that. And I was like, I'm never going to do that. And and then I started observing around that time, Catalina swims. So I was kind of inching my way forward. And then, you know, variously at the Cove, La Jolla Cove, I just was hearing or seeing people consistently come down. God, I wish I could do that. Oh, I'm scared. I'm going to do that. And so I was hearing that for quite a while. And then maybe sometime in 2011, I started really thinking, wow, I'd left my job previously, and I was thinking about, what to do. And it just seemed like a natural fit. And when when I started just offering it to people and saying, "Hey, I'll take you out," and then kind of making into pay to play. I just it was really minimal at first, and it just kind of took on a life of its own. And it really was a build it and they will come. And I wasn't really I didn't really have a plan. I just was out there saying, hey, I'll go out and this it started out for the first few years just a lot of just swim tour guide, and literally hand holding sometimes, right? People just really wanted to get out into the water, and I was sometimes just holding them up, you know, and because they just really wanted to get into the ocean, they're staring at it for years sometimes, and I think my comfort with it, I got this feedback unsolicited many times was I was so relaxed. I made them feel comfortable. I certainly wasn't doing it on purpose. It was just managing, having a newer swimmer out into the ocean. And I was just focusing on fun. And really, that's really been my mantra. And I started saying it years later. I started saying, find the fun, FTF, baby. But really finding that mental place of just play, right? I'm just getting out there and playing, and with these newer swimmers, and which has continued, of course, is really remembering that, like going out there and just playing in the water and playing in the waves and learning that way rather than a structured program or something that really kind of adds stress. And that served it served the purpose and it served me well in terms of just being there for people for that, um, offering that for people.
Yeah, I think it goes a long way too. I've been coaching for a bit and a little bit of a different background. But I think it still holds true. Like I'll get people who have really audacious goals and they don't have a big open water swim background, and then they get into open water and they're trying to hit these goals, and I'm like, dude, just go with the flow. Like have be present, have some fun out there. Like this, the beauty of it, I think the reason why I got into it was there was no real way to measure, like the speed doesn't matter. There's currents, there's way you can swim at the same spot every day and it's a different swim. So pace, all of that is irrelevant. So it's kind of like a truly can't really compare yourself to yourself or anyone else doing that swim. So for me, it was about again finding the fun again after collegiate swimming. And I try to remind my swimmers of the same thing. I don't use the words you use. I'm probably a bit more harsh with them, but love. But it's the same thing. Like just get out there and be in the moment and enjoy it because you're lucky to be out there. So I think that really does resonate with myself, and maybe because you mentored me a bit, and also just with what I'm seeing, even as newer people enter open water swimming now as it's gaining popularity, it's the same get out there, build confidence, and have some fun, and then the rest follows because you're actually
Yeah.
like being there.
Yes, exactly.
Um,
Totally.
so I'm curious, like over the years of you working, starting out more with beginner open water swimmers, not necessarily like some of the elite marathon swimmers you work with now, what were some of like the common mistakes or what makes you different, like when it comes down to those nervous open water beginners? What are you telling them to gain that confidence, to have that fun?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, first and foremost is getting out there and finding some fun in it, and playing. But what I think I brought to the table is empathy and patience. Um, I it just it just came naturally in a lot of ways, and certainly my teaching background it allowed me to really have a um, sense of building gradually or scaffolding up. But that initial thing it's always nerve-wracking for all of us, right? It's same human emotion of fear and dealing with it and how you deal with it. And I just always, everybody doesn't breathe right. And so it really goes back to the breathing and, calming your nerves and a lot of that, like I said, goes along with the play factor of just getting out there and dipping your face, getting out there and swimming to the quarter mile buoy and just little steps, baby steps, and then like you said, you eventually start to run. And it 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 can be complicated in terms of really dealing with people's fear. And I think for me, it's just I've always it, a bit of a game, but I've always pushed people a little farther out. Like, oh, they want to go back. They want to go back. No, let's just hang out here. Oh, the waves are crashing over there. Let's just hang out on the outside and just putting them a little bit of a push, a little bit of a push. And then that grew into marathon swimming. As my marathon swimming grew, I just started applying that to, you know, people aspiring to go longer. And you know, it just allowed for um, my philosophies to really start to come together and just help people, figure that out and find their way.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've been on the receiving end of the pushing your athletes during my I went out there a long time ago for my English Channel qualifier, and yeah, you took me to the limit, but we did it, and I was totally fine. So you obviously knew you have more confidence in it than I did at the time. But
What do you remember about that?
I remember I was incredibly cold. I may have been crying, and you're like, "Oh, we're just gonna keep going this way, but there's no exit in sight. It's all cliffs." And then I'm like, we're like 2 or 3 hours in. The shivering stopped. My body hit a homeostatic point. I was fine, but then I was like, "Oh crap! Now I gotta go home." So gotta swim. I'm gonna swim all the way
That was
back.
my plan.
So there was no exit. I had
Yeah,
to get my way out of it. But it
I knew
worked.
I knew you could handle it.
Yeah, it was a game-changing swim for me. It was a big confidence builder, and I don't know if I had gone on my own if I would have stayed out there if I didn't have someone like you doing that safely.
Yeah.
But that leads me to my next question. You know, you're swimming yourself. You've done some incredible swims, and then on top of that, you've observed, kayaked, crewed, supported, coached several hundred marathon swims over the years. So obviously you see a lot more than the average coach would generally see out on the open water, especially through different lenses. I'm curious, like what does supporting swims like that do for yourself and do for, your coaching of someone who's looking to go through those types of goals?
Yeah, I mean, again, going back to just empathizing with people starting out and having this big goal and just all the unknowns. And you know, as I started to accumulate the experiences, over the years, primarily with Catalina swims, and then uh, and then branching out. But the I was always eager to see, or it was fun to see people bust through their barriers. And I got a little, it tickled me to see people kind of struggle through that. And it was just really fascinating. Um, Again, as I was, growing my swimming as well, early on, of commiserating and knowing we all go through the same process and all have the same issues. And uh, so I really think my experiences coalesce into my being able to really empathize and relate to all of us aspiring marathon swimmers to go longer and do more and reach our goal, reach the other side. Um, so, my other thought with that is just sticking with it. Um, the what's the saying of, you know, um, I can't remember, but not quitting
Mm.
basically. uh, is, you know, the resilience, building the resilience is a matter of just doing and just repetitively doing. And you teach yourself or you reprogram yourself to say, oh, this is no big deal. Oh, I've done this. There's an old adage of if you can do 1 mile, you can do two. If you can do two, you can do four. If you do four, you can eight. And so it really is true. I mean, you do continually. I mean, as I've been coaching, people always limit themselves. We all do. And I think that, you know, my seeing the breadth of uh, different swimmers, different experiences, different backgrounds, different, training, what works, what doesn't. And that's really given me a unique perspective. And it really is it's been, a great part of my life for sure.
Yeah, seems very enriching, and what a terrible place to be for your office, but on a boat
Yeah.
or a kayak. So just for the sake of time, we're gonna jump into I want to hear more about your session with Summer at Beyond the Breakers this November. Can you give us a little bit of a teaser, what you'll be talking about and what you hope people to get out of it?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about kayaker sport and you know the pros and cons of different things, the pitfalls and the best practices, of course. We'll certainly have stories to share in terms of, things that go wrong inevitably. And I want to have fun with it and just share but mainly just to introduce people to the possibility. um the way I came to it was pretty abrupt. I was observing for a couple years, maybe just a year and a half or so, and Gracie Vanderbilt said, hey, we need a kayaker. It's like 2 days away. And I'm like, wait, what? I don't know how to kayak. And so I just jumped in and went for it. And I loved it. Right. I mean, just was awesome to be right there next to a swimmer, hearing them breathe and seeing their face and just going through the process with them and really feeling that connection. So, uh, for to try to share that, in our presentation is just really trying to invite people to, jump in and, go for the sport. You learn so much. It's a great way to, if you're not aspiring to be marathon swimmer, or open water swimmer anyway, just, going, it gives you an opportunity to go and support swims, as kayaker or crew.
I think it's gonna be great. Obviously, I have a ton of experience, and I don't know the times I've crewed, I've actually found to be more exciting, more I don't know, almost I don't know the right word, but it felt more meaningful to me than my own swims. Like it's cool to
Yeah.
finish your own swim, but like to be on the crew knowing like they cannot do what they do without you. Like it is impossible to do some of these things without you. And if you have no experience swimming, to still be part of a journey like that and have that big of a role is like, I think an incredible feeling, which is why I don't crew a ton, but I really enjoy it when I do. So I think it's going to be a really eye-opening session for those who want to get involved in some of these bigger swims, but aren't quite at the level of doing the swims themselves and still have that meaningful journey. So I think that's going
Yeah.
to be really exciting. And I'm very thrilled to have you and Summer coming from the West Coast to join us for that one. And on that line of thinking, so maybe a little bit of a teaser. Don't give away too much, but I want to know you've seen so much out there. You've trained people for kayaking, crewing. What's the common mistake that you see on crew boats that you wish you could fix, like across the sport overnight?
Yeah, I think there's several things, of course, but I think the one that keeps on coming back is um, it's not an endurance event for the crew. It's not a solo endurance event for the crew. And a lot of people just want to stay up all night and you know commiserate with the swimmer and keep their eye on it the whole time. And it's best practice to have at least two crew so you can switch off, take shifts, get some rest, sleep, or just rest, lay down, close your eyes, and get some rest. Because especially from the kayak, when I see things happening on the boat and everything else, and mistake after mistake after mistake with tired minds.
Mm.
And it really is a pet peeve of mine, when I'm helping with the swim or, just peripherally, if I'm just kayaking for a crew, for a swimmer and their crew, is get some rest. You can't believe how many mistakes and sometimes really monumental ones that end a swim. And a lot of times I have to just shut up and not say anything. But I'm like, oh my God, they just you know really effed up. And so that really is probably a big pet peeve of mine is for crewing, or
Yeah.
being that for the swimmer, because we're supposed to be there the best at our best for the swimmer, and being
Mhm.
sleep is lack of sleep is a big problem.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
it's a really important message. Like you don't need to be the hero because you kind of have to be ready to be the hero if it comes to it.
exactly,
Uh,
exactly.
Absolutely. It's a great takeaway. So I think there'll be some really good insights from the session. I got a few more super quick questions. So obviously you were a virtual speaker in year one. Last year, obviously weren't able to make it last year, and then this year finally coming back in person, which we're really excited about. So from your perspective, knowing what you know about this year's agenda, what you saw in the first year, who are the types of people that like absolutely should be attending Beyond the Breakers this year?
Um, I think what you've built here is providing a community, and I really feel like it it's open to everybody. Like you were just saying about however you want to be involved in the sport, however you feel you can. Uh, I think it's open to all, and for what this forum has allowed us to do as well, having been in the sport for a while, is have fun with each other too, and have that camaraderie in the community. So I think, sharing that or allowing people to say, hey, this isn't just for people that have been around doing it for a while. It really is a nice on-ramp. I mean, that's kind of been my MO too, right? But just allowing people to come in and come on in, let's party and have fun. And enjoy what we all love, and that always tends to rub off. And
Absolutely.
people want to do it more. And oh my God, that was just an incredible experience, whether that was swimming themselves or supporting or observing or whatever.
Yep.
So
Awesome. Yeah. Find the fun, right?
find the fun
So with that, is there
any
one
way you
or
can.
two presentations that you're really excited to attend yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to hear Rowdy. I mean, I grew up, so to speak, through the Olympics. I mean, it was always fun. Like, who is this guy? But yeah, awesome. Really excited to meet him, and so that's definitely a plus. And certainly, given kind of our similar paths in terms of health issues and having to go through that, definitely relate. And yeah, looking forward to meeting and talking and hearing his talk, his keynote, and then can't go without saying, I mean, I'm really excited because it's dear to my heart and previous goals, is with Sarah, Sarah and Elaine. I mean, going through, I was really, my intention was to, do more pioneering swims, just a la David Univin and Lynn Cox. And, um, she and I had become friends early on and really talked a lot about that and, where my swimming was going to go. So I've always had that kinship, so to speak, with Sarah and certainly Elaine with her swimming. Um, so I'm really looking forward to seeing them and hearing them.
Awesome. I'm still here. Don't worry. Let's turn this back. I'll edit that out. Okay. My webcam went weird. Awesome. But I got all that. So that's perfect. Last question. I'm going to put you on the spot here. So as I said earlier, you coached me through my Triple Crown. Literally very minimal marathon, so a lot of swim experience, a little bit of marathon swim experience, misguided. So on a scale of like one being the worst ever to the worst swimmer you've ever coached, where would you rank me?
On the spot. A 10, baby. A
Oh,
10 all. Um, you know, uh, Thinking about it, it was you just always you were the thoroughbred that I had to hold back, right? Because you just always wanted to crank it. Obviously, your first Catalina was um, dealing with your shoulder and trying to manage that. So because we all overtrain, we all
yep.
do that, initially. And but yeah, my thoughts on that was is always just highly um, aware of your ability and your mindset. And um, it perfectly shows with you training for your English Channel in your parents' pool, tethered and doing these long ass swims in the small little backyard pool and making it happen. I
Well,
mean, that
yeah.
was totally inspiring. And getting the job done in 2020 in lockdown with COVID. And Yeah, just you've always impressed me, just doing what needs to be done and making it happen.
Well, I appreciate it. I was fishing for compliments, so I'm glad I got them.
Well, I gave it to you from the heart. So
Amazing.
just
No, I mean, honestly, I think my Catalina was a big year because it was the first big one, big major I've ever done. And I don't know if I would have made it if I didn't have someone as knowledgeable as you in my corner. Because, like you said, I didn't know what I didn't know, didn't have the confidence, so pushed like crazy, ended up having shoulder issues because we're overtraining anyway. And then I didn't listen and went even crazier. But I think every year having you in my corner, mentoring, giving me guidance, like yeah, 2020 was a weird year for all of us, especially, trying to do the English Channel, but it was honestly, I think going into that year was the best I ever felt going into a swim in terms of the body felt good, mind was right, like ready to go. And I think there was one thing you always said, which I have stolen, but I always give you credit. So I kind of stole. But, I always say like just because you feel bad now doesn't mean you're going to feel bad in 20 minutes. So just ride it out. And I think that's gotten me through more than just swimming. And it's gotten me, got many of my athletes through their own swims and their own training issues. So, through your mentorship, I'm also trying to help, the future of the sport from the coaching side. So
I mean, pay it
yeah, no,
forward. I mean, it's been
it's
a
been a
big one
ride.
for me too. I mean, just really share and share,
Yep.
and that's part of why we love the community.
Absolutely. So, Dan, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate the extra time because we're just having such a good conversation. So, this November, Dan and Summer will be doing their session on kayak support. So, make sure you get your tickets at swimbeyondthebreakers.com. Dan, thank you so much. Can't wait to see you in November. Well, I'll actually see you next
Done.
week and then November.
Thanks, Craig.